Hi, fifth graders. Today's lesson is lesson 12-3, convert customary units of weight. Customary units of weight are what we use in the US to measure quantity of heaviness, and you will see those measurements in like ounces or pounds or in tons. Right now, I want you to pause the video and write the lesson title in your math notebook on a new clean page, as well as the I can statement. I can convert customary units of weight. When you're ready to move on, press play. The next slide is for vocabulary. You will need to write these in your notebook as notes. This is something that will be very helpful to you to refer to as you are converting. As it says, weight, it just shows a picture of how much a peach weighs to give you a reference, that is ounces. We know that peaches are very light. Next, we have ton. 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. 1 pound equals 16 ounces. And an ounce equals 1 pound. So take a minute to pause the video now and write these conversions in your notebook now. Press play when you are ready to continue. The first practice problem we are going to do today is my grandma is making apple pies. She needs 5 pounds of apples. At the store, the bags of apples only come in ounces. How many ounces of apples will she need to buy to make her pies? So what I want to reiterate is the wonderful song that Mrs. Tim has taught us this week. Let's review it now. And what I'd like you to do is say it with me. First step is write the equation. Second step is write what you know, what you know, what you know. Third step is bigger to smaller. And remember, make an X with your hands because you're going to multiply. And smaller to bigger. And this is where you kind of put your arms over each other like a division sign. And fourth step is solve the equation. So also, before we do this, there's going to be lots of steps to doing this because we also don't want to forget cubes. So the first thing that we want to do is circle the numbers. Grandma needs 5 pounds of apples. At the store, the bags of apples only come in ounces. How many ounces of apples will she need to buy to make her pies? So there's not a lot of numbers in the problem, but we know we're going to be using a lot of numbers when solving. So first, let's ask ourselves, we circled the numbers. We need to underline the question. How many ounces of apples will she need to make her pies? And I also want to write that to restate it. So, Grandma needs blank ounces of apples. Next, we want to box the keywords. So she needs 5 pounds of apples. The bags of apples only come in ounces. So how many ounces of apples will she need to make her pies? Next, we need to evaluate and visualize, and this is where that handy song comes in. So first step is write the equation. The equation is 5 pounds equals blank ounces. Second step is write what you know, what you know, what you know. And you can refer to your notes you wrote, and we know that 1 pound equals 16 ounces. Third step is bigger to smaller or smaller to bigger. When we do this, we are thinking that we are going from, change my little pen here. We are going from pounds to ounces. I know a pound is bigger than an ounce, so to convert a pound to an ounce, bigger to smaller, we need to multiply. So now the fourth step is solve the equation. So if I have 5 pounds, I want to multiply that by 16 ounces, because 1 pound equals 16 ounces, and I have 5 of those. So I'm going to solve 16 times 5. 6 times 5 is 30. 1 times 5 is 5, plus 3 is 8. So my answer is that 5 pounds equal 80 ounces. So to answer the question, how many ounces of apples will she need to make her pies? 80 ounces of apples. Let's go ahead and look at the next problem, the solve and share. Here's today's solve and share problem. Maria adopted 4 dogs. All together, they eat 1 3/4 pound of food each day. 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces. How many ounces of food will the dogs eat in 5 days? Solve this problem any way you choose. This is where you will need to pause the video, solve it any way you would like, and when you're ready to see how I would solve it and other people or students have solved theirs, push play. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I would solve the problem. Again, Maria adopted 4 dogs. All together, they eat 1 3/4 pounds of food each day. 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces. How many ounces of food will the dogs eat in 5 days? Solve this problem any way you choose. So the first thing I want to do is, again, cubes. Circle the numbers. 4 dogs, 1 3/4 pounds of food each day. 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces. How many ounces of food will the dogs eat in 5 days? Wow, that's a lot more numbers to think about than it was our last problem. So we're going to have to do a really good job of processing and using those critical thinking skills to figure out how to solve this and to decide what information we need and what information we don't. Next, I need to underline the question. How many ounces of food will the dogs eat in 5 days? I'm going to restate that here. The dogs will eat blank ounces of food in 5 days. Okay. So now we've restated our question. We know exactly what we need to think about in order to answer it efficiently. Next, we need to box the keywords. Maria adopted 4 dogs. All together, they eat 1 3/4 pounds. I think all together is a really important word to box because we're not figuring out that it's not saying that each dog ate 1 3/4 pounds. It's saying that all 4 of them together ate 1 3/4 pounds of dog food. I think it's also important that we note that they eat that 1 3/4 pound each day. They also are nice because they already give us the conversion of 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces. And then it's asking the question, how many ounces of food will the dog eat in 5 days? Again, a lot of important information to think about. So next, I need to stop and evaluate how I'm going to solve this problem. And this is where that lovely song comes in again. So first step is write the equation. So my first equation is going to be 1 3/4 pounds is equal to how many ounces? Now remember, this is how much they eat each day or one day. Okay. Second step is write what you know, what you know, what you know. We're lucky because this problem already told us what we need to know. We need to know that 1 pound equals 16 ounces. Next is the third step. Third step is bigger to smaller or smaller to bigger. We're converting, let me here. We're converting pounds to ounces. So that means we are going bigger to smaller. So we are going to multiply. Now, here's the trick. To solve this, of course, we know we need to multiply 1 3/4 pounds to get how many ounces. So even though it would look like this, we're going to have to kind of break this up to figure out how to convert the pounds and ounces to all ounces. Okay, so we are dealing with a fraction of a pound. So this is where we need to start to think of our process. Okay, what I want to do to set this up is I want to set it up to where I use my whole number. I use my whole number and multiply it by ounces. So 1 times 16 equals 16 ounces. It was my 1 pound times 16. So I already know that one part of this is 16 ounces. But now I need to figure out how many ounces are 3/4 of a pound. Now we got to go back and think about how to multiply fractions and whole numbers. So now I have 3/4 of, and we know that of means to multiply, 3/4 of 16. When I multiply the fraction, remember I want to keep 16 as a whole number, so I will have 16 over 1, and then I multiply across because I'm multiplying fractions, and I go all the way across. So 16 times 3, 6 times 3 is 18. 1 times 3 is 3 plus 1 is 4. It's 48 over 4 times 1 is 4. And I know, I'll do it here anyway, but 48 divided by 4 2 times 4 is 8 equals 12. So the first pound of dog food was 16 ounces. 3/4 of the dog food is 12 ounces, making it 28 ounces of dog food each day. Sorry, I had to pause that for a minute. So back to the problem. I now know that 1 day's worth of dog food is 28 ounces for the day. But the second part of the problem is asking how much they will need or how many ounces of food they eat in 5 days. So if they eat 28 ounces of food in 1 day, and they're doing that for 5 days, I now need to multiply 28 times 5. 8 times 5 is 40. 2 times 5 is 10 plus 4 is 140 ounces. So the dogs will eat 140 ounces of food in 5 days. Let's see how other students solve this problem. This is Amelia's work. Amelia used a bar graph or a bar diagram to show her work. She first started off showing that 1 pound and then the 3/4 pound of food. She converted each part into ounces. She already knew that 1 pound times 16 ounces equaled 16. And then she multiplied the fraction like we did. She took the 3/4 of 1 pound. We know 1 pound is 16 ounces, and multiplied to get the answer of 12. And then she added those together to let it equal 28 ounces. And like how we solved, she then took the 1 day of 28 ounces, multiplied it by 5 days to get 140 ounces. Next, we have Emily's work. Emily did this a little differently. First of all, without showing her work, she must have already solved how much 1 3/4 pounds is equal to ounces. I don't know how she did that because she didn't show her work. I wish she would have done that, but luckily she did do it correctly. It also looks like Emily is more comfortable with adding than she is with multiplication, because instead of taking the 28 times 5 for the 5 days, she added 28 5 times. So this isn't the most efficient way. This is also correct. And again, it's all about getting the correct answer any way that is easiest for you. My only thing about this is that the more numbers you add together, there's more room for error. So, but again, you use what works best for you, in which you can be proficient in your answers. Next, I want you to summarize your own thinking and write it in your notebook. Summarize questions you may still have. You can ask me or someone at home. Summarize your work, or what may have been easy, what may have been hard, where you may have gotten tripped up that you need to further learn. And be ready to share. And again, since we're not in class for this, I want you to share with someone at your house about how you did your work. We will see you in the next class day. Thank you. Have a good day.